All right, judges. Just because someone can speak like a therapist and say that they're a therapist does not automatically mean that they are a therapist. Like, if they're going to be speaking like a therapist, turning basic things into metaphors, pay attention to what they're talking about. Like, are they speaking like a therapist just to avoid certain responsibilities? Like, just because they can speak like a therapist and act all empathetic does not mean they have the right to avoid accountability, to avoid a certain responsibility, like to avoid any basic responsibility that they want. So, and just because they know the right words to speak like a therapist, they know how to sound empathetic and all that stuff, it does not mean that they take therapy. Sometimes they using that stuff to manipulate you into thinking that they're doing good mentally, but really they just trying to manipulate you. So one thing is this. So one thing is this. Just because somebody can speak good, like they're right in the head, does not mean that they are right in the head. And if they're gonna speak well, speak all smoothly, pay close attention to what they're talking about. Pay very close attention to what they're talking about. Pay close attention to what the other person wants the smooth talker to do, and if the smooth talker is just speaking all smoothly and saying something else to avoid accountability, like misinterpreting the other person's words as you're being angry, you're being the problem, you're gaslighting me, like you're blaming, like you're making me the scapegoat. That's what gaslighting is. uh you're blaming shipping me, you're crossing my boundaries, you're doing this and that and the other stuff, and he's doing all that stuff, like, how do I say this, and he's doing all that stuff. um like, that's literal manipulation. That's literal manipulation. Okay, that person ain't no therapist. That's literal manipulation to avoid taking some form of accountability of their actions. You can turn like literally anything into crossing boundaries. Uh you can turn something that looks like crossing boundaries into that. You can turn something into gaslighting. You can turn holding somebody accountable into gaslighting. You can turn, like, there's a fine line between holding somebody accountable and sort of gaslighting. Gaslighting is making someone question their reality, like making someone crazy over what really happened. Holding somebody accountable, like, how do I say this, like taking accountability, like okay, gaslighting is putting the blame on somebody else. Okay, I messed up. Gaslighting is putting the blame on somebody else. All right. uh Taking accountability is accepting the blame. It's accepting the blame. that they deserve. Like accepting the blame that you deserve. Sorry about that. I messed up on my words sometimes. Um Crossing boundaries is like, Here's the thing. Crossing boundaries is like, how do I say that? Like creating a limit. Like, hey, boundaries can come in many different forms. It could be like keeping a secret. Like, I'll tell you this, but I'm not going to tell you that. Or you can touch this, but you are not allowed to touch that because it's mine. Or you can say this, but you are not allowed to say that. Those are boundaries. And those are fair boundaries. Crossing those boundaries is like, what's yours is mine, and what's mine is mine. That's what I go through all the time in the group home. Crossing boundaries is how my mom took down my door. I don't care what the reason is. She took down my door. She may say like, oh, she's hiding knives. Like, she may say like, oh, she's hiding knives. Like, here's the thing. I wasn't even going to do anything with them. I was just going to hide them. That's it. And that wasn't even the reason why. That wasn't even the reason why she took down my door. She just wanted an excuse to come to my room, accuse me of stuff, steal my things whenever she pleases, and then just leave. So I have no right to lock my door. She took away my human rights. Okay, that's crossing a boundary, taking away someone's door, taking away someone's doors. How do I say this? What else? Lack of privacy. Like, here's the thing about the group home. All right. When you're living in a group home, like whenever you go to public places, these group home staff members always got to be nearby. Like whenever you in public, like whenever you see me in public with these people, it's like whenever I decide to have a private conversation with them, at least one of the staff members have got to be nearby. Like at least like 2-3 meters, like 2-3 feet, 2-3-4 feet nearby. They do not respect privacy. So yeah, they do not respect privacy. I even catch them sometimes standing near my door so they can hear everything that's going on in my room. I hear their voices right now. So yeah, I catch them standing next to my door at my room. So there's no privacy. That's crossing boundaries. But literally telling somebody what to do, it's not crossing boundaries. It's not forcing somebody to do anything. Like telling somebody what to do in general is not forcing somebody to do anything. It's not crossing boundaries. It's not gaslighting. Like just because I'm holding you accountable, it doesn't mean that I'm gaslighting you. Like gaslighting you is making you the scapegoat, making you to blame in everything. But if you look in all the reports, in all the papers of all the conflicts that I've had with the group home staff, I'm the scapegoat because they always say that I'm falsely accusing in all of my reports. In all of those reports. And if you look in the lease, they say you have no right to complain about anything. Let us know doesn't do anything. Like, they haven't called me back. They haven't called me back. I complained to them about the staff from the group home. They haven't called me back. Like, they haven't called me back. They were supposed to give me a report on these people. They were supposed to report these people. But really they should do more than a report. They should put these people out of business. They should put more group homes out of business. If they're gonna be doing stuff like this. Because there are group homes that have been here longer than this one that deserves to be out of business. And they just don't take action. Okay, it's been 2 years. They haven't called back. Every time I call one of the let us know people, she hasn't called back. She hasn't called back. Every time I call her, she's never available. Even at days where it's open. So, to the probate judge, if they ever say that they the scapegoat, look at the reports. Look at the reports. Look at how every time, look at the regional center face every time I tell them about the group home staff. Look at how they look at me. They look at me like this. They look at me like I'm stupid. They look at me like I'm delusional. They don't believe me. While the other half just chose a side. They just chose their side. They listen to me. They hear me, but they don't want to listen. They hear me, but they don't want to listen. They just, in their mind, I'm always wrong no matter what. No matter what logic I try to put in their heads, they're always going to find a way to say that I'm wrong. They always say, oh, you can talk to me. You can talk to me, but really it always go out the other ear. They ain't stupid. They just don't want to listen. Here's the thing, just because somebody talks, so back to the therapist thing, just because somebody know how to talk a certain way does not mean they legit. So because somebody know how to talk like a therapist, know how to talk like a doctor, know how to talk like this and that, does not mean they got the doctor therapist license. They just study and learn how to use proper wording, and then they just learn to use that to manipulate you. All right. And if they're going to be talking like that, pay close attention to what both sides are saying. And like, let's say, like, look up when therapy backfires. Look up when therapy backfires. So it's like this. It was about this girl who wanted her husband to do the dishes, and then he uses his therapy words, his professional therapy therapist's words to try to manipulate her into telling her, into coming up with excuses on why he should not do the dishes. He was gaslighting her. Accusing her of gaslighting him. He was how do I say this? He was like he was accusing her of all the things that he was doing. He was accusing her of crossing his boundaries. He was accusing her of all the things that he was doing. He was acting all empathetic, and he was really good at talking like a therapist. And I was like, wow. It was all like, wow, I almost thought he was legit. And I was like, and then until when I look at the video again, and then I realized that he was the manipulator, trying to avoid basic responsibilities. Ain't that crazy? So keep in mind, to all the judges, to all the people, like, just because somebody knows how to talk a certain way does not mean they legit. God bless.